What, you're asking, does a stupid planner have to do with video games, which is what I mainly talk about on this channel? Well, actually more than you'd think. I'm a big fan of pens, paper, notebooks, and so on. So I'm naturally always interested in checking out a planner, and I finally bit the bullet this year. And I bought the Hobonichi planner, the English specific edition we have here. I couldn't get the English translated version of the classic one, the original. So I have to make do with this one. I'll get into the differences a bit later on. Well, I'm a fan of fountain pens, I'm a fan of paper, I'm a fan of stationery in general. I never used a planner. Since I left school, I've not had a planner in my pocket. But next year, I have an increased need for more structure, more long-term planning, like daily planning, weekly planning, even monthly planning. I think I have to do to some extent, even yearly planning when I'm planning my business next year. And for the last while, I've been getting into the habit of, really like pre-planning all of that stuff. But I didn't have a planner. What I've always carried with me is a traveler's notebook, the passport size. If you watch my EDC videos every spring, you know that I always carry one of these. And I've been implementing it into my planner routine at the moment. As a preparation, because I finally have the need for a planner. I always wanted to buy a Hobonichi planner because I'm a fan of the company. For those who don't know, it's the company of Shigesato Itoi, the creator of Mother or EarthBound. So a big name in the video game and Nintendo community, and his company just makes a planner. I think that's pretty cool. His company makes a lot of stuff, but the planner is, I think, their main product, their big money maker. So in preparation for that, I've been checking out the A6 format. This is an A6 planner. Now what I need to do is do weekly planning for my lessons and so on. I've been using just a printed out weekly plan like this and a weekly plan like this. Kind of trying to time block, I think, is the term for it. But that's the thing, this one has no weekly spreads in it. I'll get into that later. This notebook, I use my traveler's notebook just for shopping lists, basically. And some other things, for example, if I'm just on the train researching something, let me look at this. Yeah, I've done some research on product development for the next year. I took down some notes. But this is really, the shopping lists for my Dreamcast collection, shopping lists for video games I want to buy. I just started this notebook in here fresh because the other one was actually full. After some time, that one filled up. In my traveler's notebook, I only have one notebook. Yes, I know, people have like these big stacks, and I always wanted to have this big gigantic sandwich of a notebook. I never got a use for it, for multiple notebooks in here. And when you want to write it, it's all imbalanced and so on, so it's not a joy to use. I took out the elastic strap as well because I thought it got in the way of actually using the notebook on a regular basis, opening it up and closing it. So it's just a floppy little leather cover with a notebook in there. So that's what I use for like quick notes if someone tells me something in a lesson, or like the manager in the school I work for tells me something, I note it down in here. And for my daily planning in preparation for seeing if I can actually use this now, I've decided to just fold a piece of paper into an A6 size. And even though it is pretty small for my use, I mainly use it for to-do lists, like what I need to do during the day and like what lessons I have planned and what they're about. So I have a general high-level overview over everything. And A6 seems to be the right size. You can cram everything in there, like I have 2 days here. You can cram like a long to-do list in there with a bit of like time planning and taking a few notes here or there. But it's not too much, so you're not leaving too much like empty space in the bottom. Which is like I've been preparing because there's a big deal in the Hobonichi. The Hobonichi Techo is actually the word. This is the English version, the Hobonichi planner. So I've been using A6, thought it's actually a good size for my daily to-do lists and what I need to do. But I thought about just sticking to the system of having my notebook and putting my daily to-do list like right in there. I can get like 4 days on a double spread. Not of this paper, because my fountain pen just bleeds through like crazy through this paper. So I would need to get like better paper to do it, or use some of the good paper I already have. But then it's 1 day short, because it's a five-day work week. So what am I going to do? Just start a new leaf with the final day? So that's not working out the way like I would want. I don't have a 4-day work week. Like I don't have that luxury in my life. So for the last, I don't know, few weeks, I've been running around with my notebook, my to-do list just like jammed in there, which is fine. It's not hanging out too much. And my weekly spread is just hanging in the front. And I have this like ugly stack of paper I'm lugging around, which looks like productive. You know, this guy means business. Like he has sheets of paper hanging out of his notebook. Like this guy seems to know what he's doing. I'm not. And I actually thought it's pretty cool. Like the date when I write it down is always sticking out from the top. I thought it's actually a pretty cool system. I wouldn't mind sticking with it, but I'm a little bit afraid that I will just not stick to like rigorous planning through my days. If I have a sheet of paper, like when it's done, I crumble it up and throw it away. Like there's nothing telling me, oh, I need the next sheet of paper and plan the next day. And I think that's where the planner may come in. I need to uncrumble this paper. Like I need this tomorrow. It's my list for tomorrow. So that's where I think the planner comes in. I already bought it. Like these are pretty expensive. This was 44 euros. And the Hobonichi Techo is a 1 page per day planner. So every day you have 1 A6 page for taking notes. Now part of it is basically unusable because there's a quote down here, which I'm loving. Like you get Shigesato Itoi and other quotes in this book like every day. I love this. I know a lot of people are not a big fan of the quotes, but they mean something to me because the person who has the company is actually an important figure in video gaming. So I quite enjoy that. So it's a 1 page per day. There's a small difference. There's the Japanese Techo, which is color-coded, like every month has its own color. And there's the more westernized English planner. It's called the planner, capital P, where everything is basically monochrome. Like every Sunday is colored red and all the other pages are black. Like I don't mind that. I like the colors, but I don't mind that. In here you have the year, like a calendar for the year. You have a calendar like this, where you can just put one thing per day for like tracking something or like putting in birthdays, whatever you want to do. This is more relevant for me, like for monthly planning, like I can like highlight things in here and actually write things down per day. This will be useful for me in the coming year, I think. So this is where I will do most of my like scheduling and planning and all of this. I think that's where this is going to live. Of course, you always plan on things and sometimes they just don't work out. It even has some pages for 2027 in here, so you can plan ahead even more. So these are all the monthly spreads. Now we have turning the page to a new year. I think that's pretty cool. I have written a letter to myself to like motivate me to, you know, keep on track and do what I'm doing, because I believe it works. So I will be copying that letter into here to keep me motivated and just have that with me. And then we have January. You can put a to-do list on here, what you need to do in January or anything else. And then it's starting 1 page per day. It's all structured, you know, you have the day, the weekday, the month, and the calendar week, which for some reason, like I'm using the Apple calendar a lot, and I can't find the option to like show me the calendar week. I know there must be one, I just can't find it, so I never know what calendar week it is. That problem has been fixed now. It's the moon phases. It's I think calculated on Japan because it's a Japanese company, but they should never be too much off. So this is what I'm going to do next year. Doing to-do lists in here is basically a daily to-do list for me. At least that's the plan. Now what's missing, because I need my weekly spreads, you know, I work on a weekly basis, I have lessons and so on. And that's why I bought the weekly planner. And this one has little weekly spreads like this. Now sadly the timeline is all screwed up, like it's a 24-hour timeline, starting at like 4 o'clock and going to like 3, 4 down here. Now I don't need that. I don't do stuff at midnight. Like I don't need that. So I will simply do like one of these blocks for 1 hour. That would be like an 8-hour work week. And I'll just draw a line there and then I block my days with the work week, like 8 hours. So that's what I'm going to do. I just have weekly spreads in here. I got a little bit excited when I thought I'm going to do a planner now. I'm absolutely in love with the form factor of the Hobonichi Weeks. Hobonichi Weeks is another planner which also is like, it's a bit taller and a bit slimmer. And you have like a weekly schedule here and a notes page over here. And I just love the form factor of the like taller book. And they're beautiful. And I was in a store, I bought this locally. I was in a store and they actually had an EarthBound cover of the Hobonichi Weeks. And I was so close, but I just can't think of a way to make that layout work for me. I would love it. I've tried the Hobonichi Weeks layout so many times. It never worked for me. Maybe I will do it for some lighter private planning or something. But yeah, I don't think I can make it work for me, for my job, for my work, for the stuff I need to get done on a daily basis. So this will be my combination for the next year, the Hobonichi Planner and the weekly schedule over here. It's a little slim booklet. It's actually a bit smaller, which is annoying to me, but some people like that because it fits. You're supposed to combine this with like a fabric cover and so on. And there's a pocket in there, and that pocket is big enough to hold the weekly thing. So you're supposed to like turn these into like a thick package. I don't really do that. I don't really do covers on my notebooks. I like to see the wear and tear over the course of the week. Like I have one notebook that got wet in the rain. It's my favorite thing to have that crispy texture in there. And like the wear outside, oh, just my favorite. I'm excited. I wanted to do the Hobonichi not just because it is the company by Shigesato Itoi, but they also use Tomoe River paper, which if you don't know Tomoe River paper, it is this very thin paper, but it's relatively bleed resistant. So if you use a fountain pen like me, you're not going to bleed all the way through the other side of the page. For example, if you look at this, like on my like cheap paper here, my ink has actually bled through. I cannot use the other side of this page. And I've been using Tomoe River paper for 10 years now or so. And Hobonichi is not a new company to me. My diary or my like journal, I do in a Hobonichi notebook. And this one has Tomoe River paper as well. And I've used like passport-sized Tomoe River paper notebooks as well. So I'm a fan of the paper, and I want to use Tomoe River paper. And the advantage it has for a thick planner like this, that it's actually pretty thin. When you consider this is 1 page per day, it's actually not very thick. If you look at other 1 page per day planners, they're quite a bit beefier than this. So that's my plan. Do you use a planner regularly? Oh, one problem I'm facing, like my main desk pen is a Lamy 2000. And this is an F-nib, even though I'm not even sure if this is an F-nib anymore. I sent this into Lamy because it wasn't working at all. and they fixed it for me. And I told them, like, if the pen is this dry with an F nib, like if it can't be fixed, please give me an M nib, like a medium nib. And I have not checked yet. I have to take the nib out at one point here and double check if it's now an F or if they changed it to an M. But the Lamy 2000 is known for being a pretty wet writer. So with the A6 here, and especially with the grid, which is a bit of a smaller grid. It's bigger than the Japanese one, but it's still pretty small. I tend to go, when I use the notebook, the Hobonichi notebook, like it's a very fine, very small grid. I tend to write across 2 lines when I do this. This is like the perfect size for me. They made them a bit bigger here. Now I think it's just a waste of space on these pages to write over 2 lines. So I got out my old daily carry, the Lamy Studio, and I put an F nib on there. I used to have an extra fine and I lost it at one point. So I'm now writing with a finer nib, and maybe I'm going to switch back, and maybe I just can't use my Lamy 2000 all the time in this notebook, even though I love the Lamy 2000. I also have some other pens that have a smaller nib, but my main desk pen that I use to like do work at my desk, maybe I have to switch it over to a slimmer, smaller, finer nib like this. As I said, do you have a planner? Do you plan daily, weekly, monthly? What is your system? Tell me in the comments, how is it working? Are you one of those people who just have a notebook and you get stuff done? And I love this notebook. I would like to love it more. I would do all my planning in this, but it's just not possible for me. I use it as a notebook, as nothing else. Like, I cannot put more than 1 notebook in here. I hate it. Even though I love the look of the big beefy sandwich of a notebook, I can't work with more than 1. Very sad. Even though I love my traveler's notebook. Even though, like, the older these get, the more you carry them around, the better they are. Like now it's like this. Oh, nice. Like when you get them, they're more stiff. Like they feel like too new, like not personalized. But over time, you grow attached to your leather notebook. So maybe I'm going to get a leather cover for this at one point, because I just love a good leather cover. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Thanks for listening to me rambling for 18 minutes. I see you in the next video. Bye.